right. All right, lesson today. Today is October 15th. Cute lesson on Columbus and a nice
Yay.
wrap up to our unit on Columbus. It was really,
Good.
really fabulous. Today is planning for instruction. So we'll go through the sections here. Creating learning experiences. I thought you planned a very appropriate and relevant lesson to what we've been doing and their level where they were learning about Columbus. And I thought it was it tied in with the standards and our curriculum goals, and I thought it was very relevant to the scholars. So that was excellent. Sequencing of learning experiences. I think that we talked about Columbus. You went up. They talked about what they remembered. You didn't just feed them information. You let them, build on what they remembered.
Yeah.
Writing it on the board. I wish you would have continued to write it on the board because it's so cute for them to transfer what they say to the board to
Right.
written words. But that was a great idea that you were going to do, that you started to do.
Yeah.
And it was very appropriate. The sequence was nice. The whole lesson with the art project was sequenced really well, step by step, and it was a beautifully directed art instruction,
Oh, thank you.
art lesson. It was great, and it was so cute, just darling. Planning instruction in terms of formative and summative assessment data. I think that it was more informal assessment because we've been studying Columbus, and the questions you asked and the coming up with what do you know was a nice little informal evaluation.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything formal, but it was nice to hear what they remembered.
Yeah.
For me too, just listening, like, wow, oh cool, they remembered that, or they remembered that. So you did that well, just an informal
Right.
evaluation through discussion and questioning. So that was really, really nice to see. Let's see, evidence-based instructional strategies, resources, technology. You always do that. I mean, you're always we're always talking about your strategies and the resources that you have and the books that you get and the different resources you find, and you always plan very methodically, and I think that you do that really well. I wish I was better at that. Using technology, always trying to challenge yourself to use that scary Elmo sometimes.
I think I'm finally getting
I
it.
know that's what you said. I think I finally have it.
But then I still needed help because the arm got in the way
was
of
funny,
the...
I know, and it's something that Kate was the one who noticed, and I go, let me go try to, change that.
I'll still learn.
Every day we learn. Let's see, Canada adjusts and revises lesson plans while teaching. Yes, you had a couple other things planned. We talked about before, you were going to show the map and things, and I think you're learning that sometimes things don't need to be reiterated again, or things, or just the feel of the room doesn't need something that you had in your lesson, or you have to expand more on something, and I think you're really starting to see that and feel that as you teach.
Yeah.
Just
starting a little.
Believe me, it doesn't.
Okay, so there was a question that I had planned to ask, and it was more of an open-ended question.
Okay.
And after I had talked to you, I actually went back and thought, oh, I can't ask this question. I really need to focus the question better. And so I rewrote the question. So I had a lot of good responses, but it was very pinpointed on what I needed to discuss. And so I'm learning that even the questions I ask have to be very geared to what we need to talk about.
Right, what your objective is. Otherwise you're going to get, I think at this point when you're trying to train them in thinking and how to think and how to focus their thoughts at this young age, otherwise you're going to get, my dog went to Disneyland and I like to play Play-Doh. And, I think, you training them how to respond to questions is what we need to do at this age, And then there's always time for the open-ended, free discussions and choosing time and things like that. But also when you're doing a lesson and there's a specific objective to it, we're training them to think in certain ways. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and so I thought, that's, because I think, just if I had asked that question, I would have had lots of hands, and I would have had lots of varied responses. And so by asking, okay, what shapes does an artist use, then they were prepping their minds for, okay, shapes. I know squares, I know rectangles, I know circles, and so it made it that much easier to continue the discussion and stay focused on shapes and artwork instead of going off to Disneyland.
Right, which could have, and that's good, but in another situation. You know what I mean? It's good in another situation. And in art, the last couple of weeks we've been doing shapes with art.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it tied perfectly to that. When you
Yeah.
asked that, my brain went to art class last week or 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. But it was
Oh,
really nice how it tied in. Yeah, so you always revise your lesson plans because as we go before, as we look at them before, talk about them before, I know what's in your mind, and then I notice things that you've changed, and I see why.
Yeah.
So, well done. It's right here. Depending on circumstances in the classroom, you do that very well. So, but yeah, so great job. I thought that the directed art was just beautiful, and I loved how you let them discuss what they knew and talked about what they knew about Columbus and reviewed their thoughts and how you, and even during the lesson when you were saying everyone move your arms or touch your nose or different things, just to get their bodies moving while, because sometimes you do have to pass out things or it takes a few minutes to get things with 30 kids,
and I thought,
you know?
oh, I'm so glad I spontaneously remembered some things to ask about Columbus.
Hey, you know what? We all do.
I'll be like asking the same thing over. So.
And oh yeah, we all do. We all have our cheat sheets. We all have our, you know.
Totally. That's a lot of information for anybody to remember, and that's why I was, when I went into it, I'm like, okay, this should be okay. I'll just follow these steps. But you know, when it comes down to it, that's a lot of art steps, a lot of steps for the kids. And so next time, I would definitely like think about, okay, before I plan an art project, how many steps is this going to take the kids? Like, are they going to be able to handle 5 steps?
Right.
Maybe not.
Right.
Maybe some classes would, but
and maybe
some
others
can't.
Well,
and so,
that just reminded me, another thing you could have done, it just came into my head, is you could have put those, let's say, 6 steps that you had today, you could have put them on the board or written them up. Okay, number 1, step 1, if there's a visual, maybe a picture of it, you know, for your EL learners, a written thing, a picture, and you showing how to do it, and everyone does it. You know, if you just wanted more.
Or even could have done 4, you know, like I had the one for the board, the example.
Oh, yeah.
So just the same thing, but 4 different ones for each stage of.
Oh, sure, exactly. Could have
that way,
this is where we are now, and taking them through. Yeah,
So,
you can always, and I love how you think like that. I love how you think, especially afterwards. You go, oh, next time I could have done, or I should do, or things like that.
Constant.
It's a constant learning experience. So, well done.
Yay, thank you.
Yay.